Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to another episode with Langers. We've seen all we need to see now. 2 JLT games have come and gone, mate. And we're just left to ponder. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me again.
There's plenty to ponder.
Absolutely. Plenty to talk about and plenty of people to not talk about as well.
I feel as if I started this JLT series with a team that I was like, yeah, look, this isn't going to change much. But I have found myself in some dark places with some names I never thought I'd go back to. But they will be revealed, and it's we'll get into the game soon, but it's crazy how you can just look at your side and say, I'm really happy with that. But as a few games roll on, you go, geez, he's a must-have now. I've got to find a way to get him into my side, and it then just plays some games with your head. I've had some sleepless nights, mate.
Yeah, I also had a team that I was fairly confident that I wasn't going to touch. Neck minute, I've pretty much rearranged my whole team, as a lot of people have, mainly with the rookies, just making sure you have the good rookie coverage.
Yeah.
That's the main point, is generating cash, but there were some primo changes that I didn't think I'd be doing, and there's one that I regretfully have to say that I've done, which we'll talk about when we get to it, but yeah, I've done a few changes that we'll get to in due time. There were some good games in the weekend as well, and some interesting scores.
Let's start with the game that we got to, and that was Geelong and Essendon.
Yeah, it was great sitting next to you during that game.
Jesus.
Oh, the soundboard's back. Oh, I forgot. That went down so well last week.
The soundboard was great. It was just fantastic, you know. Is it not professional? You know, is it not professional
when
enough for
used in the right, at the right time, it's perfect, Daniel. But
fatality.
Is that the right time?
Let's just get into the game.
Geelong versus Essendon.
Yeah, rip a game.
And it was good for the Cats to have a win. That was good to see.
Good signs for Geelong fans.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know about you, but there were a couple of names for the Cats. It was good to see Kelly play well for myself.
Yep, just give you a bit of reassurance.
Yeah, which is what I needed. Bit of confidence to back him in. 110 points from the 28 touches. Pleasing. Selwood was a flashback to his best, but you won't be picking him. But a little side note, Dangerfield does what he does.
Yep.
And I think Atkins certainly booked his ticket to round one.
Atkins definitely booked a spot on my bench with the possibility of coming into the midfield. Charlie Constable's in that same bracket as well.
Yeah.
They're two of those rookies you'd be looking to lock into your bench. Luke Dalhouse threw his hat into the ring for a sneaky forward sort of option. I don't think you'd be picking him, but he might. If he has some form, you might be looking at him later on as a little upgrade. But yes, mainly the rookies to take out of Geelong in Constable and Atkins, and of course Jordan Clark, who had his second really good game in a row. He also looks like he's going to be having a round one debut, seeing as Zach Toohey and Scott Selwood out. That pretty much locks Atkins and Clark into the team for round one. I think
Buse is potentially out too.
Yeah. Saw him at Bunnings the other day too.
Did you?
Yeah, served him.
You see a few of the Cats boys floating around
Geelong.
Yeah.
As for the Essendon side of things, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I think Zach Merritt was a guy that showed that he has still got that ball magnet ability. I don't think that was a question mark, and it was probably just reassuring to see him come on in the second. I think it was only 59% game time, get the 24 touches, 60-odd SuperCoach points.
Yeah.
And I don't think the question's ever been over that with Zach. It's been probably more about when the real stuff kicks in and maybe some of that attention that might come his way, but he was someone that caught my eye.
Well, with Shield there now, hopefully that him being like the number one recruit, hopefully that takes away from Merritt or spreads the load a bit even.
Yeah, spreads the load. I did... Look, the Bombers didn't throw up stacks for me, to be honest.
Didn't throw up much.
No. I mean, McGrath, he had 71 points. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't...
Wouldn't give you any concerns,
sort of thing,
I
but
think all of the Bombers team didn't play fantastically. So.
Yeah, a couple of guys that have been semi-popular picks for the forward line, Devon Smith and Sam Menegola, I know for yourself, has been in the conversation.
Yeah.
Neither set the world on fire.
No, they didn't.
Any concerns at all?
Look, obviously, there's a big difference if Menegola comes out and scores 230 scores to a 70 and a 60, but I don't think there is. That's probably the riskiest thing that I've done in my team, probably is picking Menegola over one of those younger guys we were talking about. But again, I think he played on limited game time, and 60, although it's a bad score, it's not the worst. It could be a 40. Especially if it's in the real thing.
It could get worse.
No, I'm backing him in for to play well. There were some talks about Ablett being forward and sort of mid taking his spot, but I think they're going to use Menegola a lot as that half forward link up player, and he'll benefit from it when the real stuff starts. So,
and as we say, I mean, we've seen those guys do it in the season proper.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
an example of where you don't have to go too cold on them just because they don't play amazing in 2 JLT games. So
the real stuff.
So not a stack of takeaways from that game, but a couple of notes there. And there'll certainly be guys we discuss in more depth. So we will move on to the next game. That was the Giants and Adelaide. Obviously the Crows looked to be responding after a poor season last year, and that was led by the Crouch brothers.
Yes.
And look, I was disappointed to see Matt play so well, to be honest, because
it gives you headaches.
He was in my team, and he racks up nearly 40, and you just know that ownership is going to go up. And I'm not sure what it is, but it was 7%, and last time I looked it was 11, so he was semi-POD, but probably not now. But I think he's a fantastic selection. Aside from the obvious guys, I think Crouch is my pick for the Brownlow, to be honest.
Really?
He's my Brownlow man. I mean, it's easy to say Dangerfield and Cripps, but I think the real discussion point... Yeah, a little smoky. The real discussion point is Brad and where we stand with him. 418k.
Yep.
Turned up 2 times, 31 touches, 124 on the weekend, and he just looks like a staple in that midfield. He's in and under. He's fit. What's your take, Jake? Is he in?
Jake. No,
Jake's take. There's a segment.
There's a segment. Remember I had Langer's light bulb lined up at one stage last year too.
Langer's light bulb, that's right. I forgot about that. That's so good.
We never went with that one for obvious reasons. But Brad...
Want to give us a light bulb moment?
Sorry, I just lost where I was at. Brad Crouch. He's sort of in that... There's 3 guys you'd be picking sort of in that M5, and if you're going deep in your midfield, M6 spot. That's Brad Crouch. That's Tom Liberatore. And there's another one we'll talk about when we get to that game.
I'm excited.
He's... Look, I can't say no. I don't see why you could say no. I've currently got Libby in there just because I cannot afford Brad Crouch.
Yeah.
And I'm not like the biggest fan of the Adelaide teams and how I think they'll go this year, which I've said in a previous podcast. I've got Libber in, and I'm happy with my choice just because at his price, and I think he can score similar, if not maybe a little bit under, and that's fine. Yeah. But you'd be picking Brad Crouch to stay in your team at his price and at his scoring ability. Whether Libber can stay in, if he does, that's awesome. But I'm not too sure. But
that's Brad Crouch looks good. It? Yeah, that 120k just makes a world of difference. I think Crouch does have better scoring capacity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Compared to Libber.
Yep.
But as you say, there's that extra bit of pressure on Crouch to deliver, particularly early, as we've touched on. That first 6 weeks is so important for these type of selections where Libber, you can be a little more forgiving because you're not setting you back as much. But he couldn't have done his propositions any better than what he did because he's been great for 2 games and he's looked fit and he's in the mix. So, and Sloan's another guy, 28 touches and 115 Supercoach, and he's done it many times before, and he's probably a guy I'll look up his ownership, but where do you stand with him? He doesn't get talked about too much.
Well, I think he doesn't get talked about just because of his horrendous year last year or the year before when he was getting tagged. And maybe having the Crouch brothers back in, or at least both of them back in, relieves that sort of pressure from him and allows him to get back to the scoring that he was doing. But I think until we see results, it's hard to really pick him based on the form he's had recently, which has been good, but JLT, like no one's really tagging in JLT.
He's in like 7% of sides.
Yeah, so he's around thereabouts.
I just wanted to look at, because I remember you saying that, and I think it was 2017. He started the season 77, 146, 168, 124, 139, 140, and then it was like, hang on, we're going to tag this prick.
That's when people would have been trading him in.
Yeah, and then he went 80, 70, and then 177, and then we saw later in the year 50, 36. Oh. So we've seen absolutely all sorts of
There's
scores from him.
some big gaps there. There's a 50, a 169, a 36, and a 151.
It's amazing.
That's about as
isn't it?
inconsistent as you can get.
Yeah.
But,
And as you say, some guys just don't wear the tag as well.
I think there's better options in the midfield than Rory Sloane. A couple of backline options in Wayne Millerer and Brodie Smith.
Yeah.
Both of them, I think, are in the 400k mark, and they've proved that they'll be the sort of running halfbacks along with Rory Laird. And that seems to be the style that Adelaide plays, just that run and gun and kick it long and handball it and move it quick. And I think they'll benefit from that. But I'm not too fussed about those fellas. Brodie Smith, I think, is a little bit cheaper, so he might have been an option. And
he seems popular, but I'm steering clear. As I stressed last week,
he's been a bit of he's had a few things going on. So
but you know what I want to raise is the flow and effect to Laird.
Yeah,
like he was really good JLT1, 23 touches, 82 SuperCoach last week. It's nothing to get too concerned over, but I just wonder. He's very expensive and so reliable. I'm not saying, I'm not saying get him out of your team, but I just wonder whether he can reach that. What was it, 108 last year?
Yeah.
Again. I just wonder with particularly Smith and Miller are playing much better footy. Maybe he just averages 101, 102 sort of thing, but
that's fine as a defender.
I just saw a bit of discussion. I thought that's something I hadn't thought about.
I think the main thing with Laird is he's just really consistent. And he rarely scores like a 30 or just like a real dud score, which is what you want in such a that's what you want your defenders to do. You don't necessarily need big scores out of them. You just need you can get 80s out of them every week and let the midfielders do their job. Then you're happy.
I'm sure we'll have enough headaches, and he's not going to be one of them.
Yeah, I think he'll. I mean, if he's scoring poorly, there's no other option above that apart from Lloyd, and hopefully he comes down. And worst case, you move him to Lloyd, but.
Absolutely. And what did you like in terms of the Giants? There's certainly been one man who is the flavour of the fortnight.
There's a few men in this team that have proved their scoring capacity to be of value.
Oh, yes.
Stephen Coniglio tops the list, and because of his fortnight and because of some other positional changes, I've brought him in as my M4.
Bang.
And that's probably my second riskiest player that I have in my team. Not because he's not going to perform well, but just because there's a few players ahead of him that I probably should have been picking, but two of them were Fife and Kelly. And the basic fact is we just haven't seen anything of them, so it's hard to really gauge what's going to go on with them. We've seen nothing of Kelly, and we saw a little bit of AFLX from Fife, so we know he's fit at least, but I haven't really heard anything about what Kelly's doing. If I miss the boat on them, that's going to suck, but I'm going to have to try and get them in somehow. But you can't just have blind faith in them and put them in, which I think has hurt them a little bit.
And I think that's definitely worth discussing. And I was exactly the same. And again, I'll refer to the ownership. Fife at 23%. He was certainly around the high 30s, early 40s at certain stages.
It could make or break a lot of
Kelly's down to 15%. So I think as soon as they weren't named, I cut them straight away. And it's brutal, particularly Fife, because I think we said it last week, his injury isn't really going to detract from his pre-season and his fitness, and he's going to be okay. But it just concerned me that it was like, Fife's right to go, and then all of a sudden that elbow flares up again. And it just keeps flaring up. And historically, Fife hasn't played 22 games too often either.
Yeah. Well, these are your big guns, and you don't want to invest 100% into, Fife will just come in and dominate, and then he's just he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You
have to do your research on these big cannons, and
and you don't want them coming in those first 3 weeks and just going well. Great. They scored 98 and 104. That's nice. They're not out of form, but you want to see them hit the ground running after great pre-season and look like Cripps does, and Martin looks sharp. Those sort of types. You want to. Neil's been great, and Coniglio, as you said. So, and Kelly in particular is concerning because we don't hear as much about him in Victoria unless it's about his contract. But all I've seen,
he's moving to North.
Yeah. All I've seen is that knee and I think even hip concerns, and he hasn't been on full duties, and I just haven't heard any other updates. I don't think Zach Williams played either. But
No, he was withdrawn from the team because
Yeah.
he's managed a little bit from that knee issue that he had, but he's fine. They just
Yeah.
didn't want to risk him again, so there's no concern there, especially at his price, 407. He scored 82.5
Yeah.
in the first game he played whilst having that knee issue, so there's no worries there.
Yeah.
Your mate Timmy Taranto.
Yo, Timmy.
Ooh.
Timmy's looking good.
He'd be in plenty of forward lines, and that is not an issue with me at all. He'd be a great little F2, F3 option. Yeah.
If only, hey?
He's going to,
only.
I think with Devon Smith going, and I think someone else left from GWS this year. Can't remember who. Shield left, yeah. I think the fact that those two are gone now, that's just going to, the points are going to go to him as their,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was a high draft pick, and they've put a lot of eggs into his basket, and he's got to perform, and he's going to perform. So
Yeah. Toby Green's probably a guy that...
No.
Wow.
Don't.
Wow. That went
sorry.
down like a Tinder date right there. Just shut down.
He'll
very early.
have 10 games, 12 games where he'll score 90 plus.
Yeah.
And he'll have 5 games where he'll score under 50.
But aren't you tempted, Jake?
No.
He's what, 350k?
Yeah.
He's a match winner.
Yeah.
I mean, his foot nearly falls off when he gets out of bed, but still.
When it gets stuck in Delhass's face. No, I think there's better options.
Yeah,
I think Darcy Moore would be a better option than Toby Green, to be honest.
No, I
a bit
agree.
less
I
of a
think.
price.
I mean, his stats were 12 touches, 39 Supercoach from 32% time on ground. I think it was maybe only a half or something like that.
I
know they're nice-ish numbers, but in terms of him doing it for a whole game,
and he's coming
in
off
an
a
AFL
big injury sort of concern as well. And I don't know how well he scored before that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he scored decently, but I don't think he's like a premier sort of forward. So
no, it's a good point. I think he's his glory days early where he was a midfielder that could racket and racket and racket. I mean, he was amazing back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't use it as well. As in terms of a forward, I think we've seen 92 and 96.
Yeah.
So as you say, it's not like even the scoring's just a lock.
Yeah.
You got to question the body and exactly
great player though.
If you can replicate it. Yeah, very good footballer.
That might not translate to SuperCoach scoring.
Yeah, and so risky, very risky.
That it is a risk. Jai Caldwell, the rookie we were talking about last week, scored 24 at a bit of a higher price, along with Jackson Haitley.
Yeah.
Not sure we'd be locking them into our teams before some other midfielders like Butters and Dersma, Atkinson, Constable, and players like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little bit more from them. If they're named round one, I feel like that might hurt a couple of people because they'll be in the team because of injuries such as Callum Ward being out. Just keep an eye on them. If they're named round one, don't necessarily jump on them. Just maybe see how they go and if they stay in the team. But they're a bit higher price anyway. So
yeah, I agree. They've got the real stink of a guy who can be in and out of the side. You know,
very
going
quickly.
To be a good player, but in a good team isn't going to get that opportunity.
With GWS, I found a lot of their rookies, especially Isaac Cumming last year.
Yeah.
Played, I think, 5 games, but he got dropped a lot, and I had him in my bench to start with, and I was like, oh, yeah, no worries, he's going to play early. Didn't play till like round 11, I think, or really late in the season, and it was just sort of in, out. Then I missed the chance to offload him and upgrade and lost some money, so thanks, Isaac.
And it probably goes without saying that Whitfield should be in many teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many teams. He was great again. And
I reckon he'll be the number 1 defender. That was my Shorty impression.
Gags. I should go to my soundboard for that one.
Yeah. Anyway, North Melbourne.
Yeah. Look, you can talk a bit about North, mate. I've only got one name down here.
Okay. Luke Davies-Uniacke scored 57, your mate. A lot of people have been talking about him. As a high-priced rookie, I wouldn't be going near him. When you've got players like Sam Walsh and Zach Butters who are a similar price but have had higher scoring potential in their games, I don't even know if he's going to play early. I think he might.
I think he will, but I think at this stage of his career, he's probably going to find himself on the fringes of the stoppage and half-forward flank style setup. I think he's a very good player, but North have added a lot of depth to their midfield, and I think he's going to be a great player in time. But until he gets that opportunity to get regular centre bounce attendance and all that jargon.
If he was $117,000 like Bailey Scott, however, that's a different story, especially.
Yeah, a different story. Love that. Love it. Love. How quick did I get to that?
The time.
Put me on SEN.
Bailey Scott scored 89 and he's 117k. So he's on my bench currently in my number one bench spot.
And I saw it was from 58% time on ground. Am I reading that correctly?
Tasty, Daniel.
Very tasty. Real tasty.
Is there a tasty soundboard button on there? Or
I might find
delicious?
it in another 2 minutes.
Delicious. That was my brew soundboard.
Wow. Wowee. That was right up close.
Dennis, where are you? I need you right now. Oh, sorry.
That was emotional.
Other than that, I really don't think there's much to look at North Melbourne. Just looking over the scores here. Yep, no.
Yeah. All right. Let's cut to it. Let's get to it.
All right.
I'm going to say something.
Get in nice and close. Get in right.
Tom Rockcliffe. Tom Rockcliffe.
This is the man that I was talking about that is in that position of Liberatore and Crouch and Rockcliffe in the M5, M6. His scoring can't be ignored over the JLT, and I would like to apologise, Daniel, because I shut you down in the first week.
It was brutal.
But you're going to have to apologise to me in 3 weeks when he scores 50 in the first 3 games. So.
Hear me out, mate. All right, hear me out. You want to know where he's sitting? In my M5.
Bang. He's in there.
He's in my team. He's in my team right now.
Goodness.
It's insane. I know.
I know. Can you believe what you're doing? Or?
I'm not really sure, but
this is going to be one of the all-time make or break. Like this, your channel.
Hey, Christian Salem.
Your channel is at stake here with this decision.
Yep. Well, I'm putting my channel's balls on the line. They're on the line. Lay them up on a block.
They're going to
I hope they don't get chopped.
Or they might be strung up at some point by round 2. He scored 170 in the second game.
Yeah.
You cannot deny those numbers.
And I'm not just starry-eyed because of that too, but even in the JLT 1, I think it was 16 touches, equal high clearances for Port from 60-odd% game time, I think, which is what drew my attention to him initially. I was like, oh, hang on. And as we speak, I've got Foxtel IQ about to record the Port and North game at Mum and Dad's.
Just to watch it
because I didn't get to see it. And
absolute
this is
goal
the
fest
prime
in the first quarter.
one. It was. It really was. But I just want to see it. This is one where I just want to see.
You want that confirmation.
Obviously, he racked up the ball, but he got 16 marks and he only had about 10 or 11 contested possessions.
3 goals?
Yeah, something like that.
Can kick a goal.
As good as all that is, I actually felt that from 42 touches, I would have thought his contested ball numbers, if he was pure inside mid, might have been more around your 18 or 19 and a few more tackles. But I am all about this at the minute. I must say, and I'll touch on it later when we talk about our teams, Brad Crouch has been in it. And at the moment, Rockcliffe came in.
Right.
Not because I think he's going to go better than Crouch. Very, very tight, but honestly, just to open up 14-odd K.
Yeah, he's a bit cheaper, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And yes, he hurt us last year, and yes, he's hurt us in the past.
Multiple times before.
A lot of that has been from impact injuries.
It has.
And a bit of, unlucky circumstances. Last year was terrible.
Stephen,
Last year was terrible. And you can look at it as I go a bit visual. My glass is half full.
Are you holding a glass?
Is it half empty? Yes, that didn't work as well
sort of
on a podcast, but
sort of hard to work out because the glass is sort of pear-shaped at the bottom and goes narrow at the top, so it's hard to calculate the volume of the glass itself. But it could be 45% full.
You've just shot my analogy in the foot. I buy my glasses from Kmart. Don't judge me.
My analogy is that Rockcliffe is 45% full.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, well, there's a 55% chance that it's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
so
I know what you're saying.
Take the risk if you want to, but just be sure. Don't put him in because he's got 170 next to his name in JLT2. Put him in because you know that his role in the team is going to get him points. And his role in the team when Ollie Wines comes back will still get him points. Doesn't have to be 170.
Yeah.
Just might need to be like a 90.
And that's all I need is some encouragement that he is going to be played inside mid. And yes, Wines will come back. But Port Adelaide's midfield is not very strong.
No.
It's not very strong.
No, it's not.
And as I was saying, you can read it all sorts of ways. Rockcliffe disappointed us terribly last year, but was it because of his shoulder concerns and he just couldn't get going? By all reports, he is so dedicated and on a mission to return to his best and repay the faith.
Yep.
And he's come out, gone bang. I just think when this guy is playing in the middle, he scores and he averages 100.
Yeah, fair enough.
When he's moved elsewhere, and we've seen him played up forward and things like that, the talk is that Ebert's maybe playing a bit more forward.
Yeah, I did see
Butters
that.
play a bit more forward, and Gray.
Butters will be playing forward.
That type of setup. And as I said, I just want to watch the game and just see
have some confirmation, some affirmation.
And I might even get the pen and paper out and go the stoppages and how many centre bounces did he get to and that sort of thing, because that gives you a good indication. Yes, he won 42.
This is definitely the most risky pick in your team, so you'd want to be doing your research on it.
And just a final note, what is so exciting is the ceiling that he has.
170.
You can't deny, we all know he averaged 132. Like,
the pig.
We're not going to get that, but he can average with the best of them.
Yep.
Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. I am just going to have to cool myself down now.
I'll talk about
some rookies to me.
I'll talk some rookies. Your mate, Willem Drew, again, scored 86, along with Zach Butters and Xavier Dersma. Looks like they've birthed themselves a round one spot a la 2013 Port Adelaide against Melbourne at the G, which is what they've got this year in round one, where they debuted Kane Mitchell, Jake Need, and Oliver Wines.
Impressive recall.
Thank you. I read an article. I think I've currently got, I know that I've currently got Dersma in my bench spot, number one, because Jordan Clark's in the last defence spot. And I know that I have Butters at M7.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I have Willem Drew at F6. And I know I said just before that I don't like any of the Adelaide teams, but that doesn't count for the rookies, because rookies at that price and their scoring capacity, they shouldn't burn me too much. So they just need to make a bit of money for me, and I'm happy.
And I like that they all seem to offer certain attributes to the team. They're not just promising youngsters that they hope can play a role.
Yeah, they all seem to have had a role so far.
Yeah, like they have
a specific role.
Real strong points to their game that is actually having an impact for Port Adelaide. They're not just, in there for promise or to play that more minor role. They've got some weapons about their game. I
actually really liked what Dersma did in that game. I saw a few things from that game that I enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. The 19 touches, 67% time on ground,
not bad.
Equated to 78. So
these kids are good,
and just needing to play. And I think if they're playing, I think naturally they'll be scoring reasonable. They're pretty reasonable talents by the looks of it.
I think Rosie might play round 1 too, but I wouldn't be considering him in the midfield at his price, and he just hasn't scored really as well as what we would have hoped. But they've definitely given us enough rookies already. Justin Westhoff is another interesting player.
How did he go?
He scored 98.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be the worst option to have forward or in that second ruck spot if you're not sure about Gawn. I think he's still going to score quite consistently, maybe not as high because he was playing a bit more ruck last year. There's no guarantee that Ryder's playing round 1 either, so might be a little saucy 130 from Westhoff in round 1 if Ryder doesn't play, if he's playing ruck forward.
There's just something that bores me about the Westhoff selection.
I know. But it might be boring, but it could be safe.
I just feel like he's had his career best season. He'll experience a role change, which is likely to hinder his point scoring ability. And sometimes he's here, sometimes he's there, which is great for the team.
Sometimes he's beard, sometimes he's bare,
Oh.
Did you?
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just something interesting.
Yeah, it's good to throw the names up.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, because he's still a premium player and with good results from last year. Anyway, let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, Melbourne, Brisbane, and this was a game that I didn't really see anything stand out too much. Brisbane had a win, which is great for their development, things like that, and it was led by Lions, who had the
great for Watto.
Yeah, Watto was quite vocal.
Premiership ticket.
4 goals from Lions, big 140 plus score, and we know what he can do. I didn't see the game. I was relaxing at Apollo Bay.
Sick invite.
Yeah, you weren't there. Okay, soft spot. Bit of a soft spot there, but he was obviously impressive. But kicked 4 goals. Did that mean that he was playing a bit forward as well? One might presume.
I think he's just got to, with Neil there. I think he's just got to rack it up. I hope no one will pay attention to him, and he scores consistent over 100. And Neil also scores consistently over 100, but gets the tag.
Because they've also got Zorko and Robinson.
Yeah.
And
they've got some good players.
McCluggage and Berry will step up to the
younger kids. You were big on McCluggage last week. What did he get? You got 47, so let's not talk about him.
But I am big on him. I will stand by that.
Yeah, Alex Witherden scored 76 from limited game time again, so I think I'm pretty happy with both our pick of him in the D3 spot.
Definitely.
Didn't look like he was going at 100%, but I'm sure he'll go nuts in round 1 when the real stuff starts.
How about Neil? 3 kicks.
Really?
He's 28 touches.
Just call him Tom Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, he's still enough to ton up, so each to their own, but that was just an interesting little tidbit.
Steph Martin played his first game of the preseason and scored 92, and I have to admit to the family, to the podcast, that
is this it?
Oh
wow!
I was big on my boy Toby Nankervis in the ruck 2 spot, and I said this would probably insert like a dream sequence of me, like a flashback of me saying like Nankervis will score the same as Martin and Goldstein, and I'll back him in, but I just really, really didn't like what I saw from Nank in these
so you got rid of him.
games. He's out for Martin. Yeah.
Jesus. No, that's big, mate.
He's out. Big. And I'm sorry to the fan. I know I backed him in, and I'm still backing him in to score the same as Martin and Goldstein, but it's just more of a risk now, I think.
So you feel
I'm just going the safer option, and the ruck is such a hard spot.
Yeah.
Because I said, rather flamboyantly, if Nank doesn't play bad, just trade him for Gorn. No worries, Langers. Let me just get 200k out
let me
grab
that out of Yeah, exactly.
So I've just gone the Martin pick. I just think with that younger midfield and the addition of Neil, he's just going to be just clocking it down to little Lockie and Zorks and all these players going through, and I think he's just going to do better than Nank. It hurts to say because I was backing him in, but if Nank is like the highest scoring player after round 3, I'll be like, I told you so. But I just want to go safe on this
like
one.
I did with Grundy, like back him to the hills and
is it Grundy? It's Grundy! Sorry, there's some Bruce McAvaney quotes coming out tonight.
They're coming out thick and fast.
Yeah.
I don't blame you though, because you're right. I'm seeing a bit of Soldo, Ruck.
I don't like it. I really don't.
And yes, that could be a bit of trial, just see how it goes. But it's enough to be concerned, and we're not seeing
I'm concerned.
that. Yeah, we're not seeing that from some other options. So we don't want that concern in the ruck department. So I hear you loud and clear. Unless there's anyone else from Brisbane you wanted to touch on, I have a couple of demons up the sleeve.
No, hit me with your best shot.
Yeah, well.
I was trying to make that rhyme with the Demons player's name.
Didn't.
Fritch me with your best shot.
Yep.
Fire a May. Yeah, boy, there it is.
Sam, mate.
I said it. It's Stephen. Stephen 1 week, mate.
Yeah. Look, Brayshaw, I think, is an underrated premium, although I think he's starting to get far more recognition.
Yeah. I just can't see a spot for him in my midfield because it's still not guaranteed that he's still only a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, Clary's still a kid too, but he's already had 2 seasons where he's been a premium midfielder. And Brayshaw's just had 1 good year.
Yeah.
There's no, if he might be an upgrade target, I might upgrade Limited Brayshaw.
Yeah.
Or Yo or Selwood or one of these players, but I don't think you'd be starting him because there's just no guarantee what he's going to do. He looks great. Best wishes, but...
Well, he's had a massive JLT, which just suggests that he is really fulfilling all that talk about why he was drafted so high, and he's such a hard nut, and you want to pick your pen up there?
I just dropped my pen.
Great. And clearly, again, it was 126 SuperCoach points, tackles, touches, had it all. And I think him and Oliver could just be unbelievable
Yeah,
sort of combination.
what a midfield, though, with Gawn.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah. But as you say, when you're picking premiums in the middle, you really want to have some serious history behind their scoring.
Yes, you want to be doing your research on them and making sure that your pick goes well. Jay Kennedy Harris's knee scored -1. Sorry. Yeah, so he has been confirmed to... I think a couple of people were looking at him as like a rookie price sort of... I think he was a forward.
That's news to me, mate. But
yeah, well, he's been around the traps for a while and people thought like this might be his year.
Yeah, I don't know what traps you hang around, mate.
The weird ones. But anyway, he hasn't done an ACL. I really like him as a bloke, so I'm glad he hasn't done his ACL.
Oh, you know him, do you?
No, he's just in that ad. You know, the Protective Services Officers ad? He used to be an actor before he was a footballer.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah. Anyway,
good job.
What else are we looking at here?
It's 301k, mate.
Oh, I don't know what traps I'm...
Oh, your traps are smoking something.
He's a mid.
He's a mid. Yeah, so I've got this forward-line rookie who's priced at 300k in the midfield.
Maybe in draft. No, I don't know what I'm talking about there. So I just wanted to get his knee into the picture and make that joke.
Love that light bulb.
Joel Smith scored 86 after 4 goals. Don't pick him. It's a bit of a trap. Max Gawn gave us something to think about. With Bruce going down with a groin injury, which apparently isn't too bad, but he was playing in a Resi's practice game instead of JLT2. I would have thought they'd be testing Gawn and Bruce in one game to see how it goes, unless they're doing it all behind closed doors. But Gawn scored 120, and you pick him at your ruck 2 now, I think it's safe to say, with a little bit of risk, but I don't think he'd disappoint you at all.
Any truth to the rumour that you were seen trying to push Bruce down a set of stairs?
Me?
Yeah. I've heard that rumour.
I'm like a bit of Nutrigrain to him. He would eat me in 3 seconds flat. Have you seen the size of that man?
Yeah, he's a big man. But if he doesn't see you coming, you know.
It'd be like a raindrop falling on him. Like, oh, what was that? Oh, it's laying itself. Right.
I think you're right.
As well, so.
I think you're right, though. It's enough to think about, but it is disappointing that we haven't got much of an insight as to exactly what Melbourne want. And I think that's probably enough to scare most of us off. Is the fact that, hey, maybe one week Gawn's busting out those 140s, but depending on the team they're playing and how they want to share it and the stage of the season and how Gawn's coping, all of a sudden Bruce comes in. It's tough to know exactly how they're going to play it. He'll still average great numbers. But when you're forking out
a lot,
the best part of 700k
for a bit of risk,
you don't really want that potential for the odd. It's not going to be a stinker, but just for him to not be as dominant as he could, it'd be frustrating.
Hoare.
Yeah.
No, I mean, sorry, Marty Hoare.
I thought that was a little aggressive.
Marty Hoare scored 69. He's my second bench spot. And he'll just be floating through my defence and making money for me.
I'm enjoying this slow reveal of Lang's team.
Yeah, we might go through line by line as we go.
But I'm enjoying it.
I'm sure we can put it up so the viewers can see. But just pick him in your defence. And I think that's it to talk about for Melbourne. Christian Petrarca just tickling the fancies of a few as well.
Yeah.
Not sure about that one. Keep an eye on as a forward prospect, maybe an upgrade.
Yeah.
If he's scoring well, I don't think you'd start with him. You'd have to have balls of steel to start with him.
You would.
But maybe next year for Christian Petrarca to start with.
Well, we haven't seen the change in position that we would like to see. No. If we really wanted to
just
see
gone past him in a year.
Yeah. And Oliver was really good again. So just doing what he does. Working through it over to Hawthorn.
Yeah. Now
and Richmond.
This is another big one for me.
Yeah. Talk to me.
James Sicily out
of
my team.
Wow.
Same with Nank. You know, last week I was just saying I had a couple question marks.
Yeah, question marks were
I just didn't like what I was seeing from Sicily. Again,
so did you see the game?
I saw a majority of the game. Yeah, and I just didn't. Was
he down back?
Look, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'll let you have your time in the sun, but in terms from a statistical point of view, it was 16 touches, 7 tackles. No, 7 marks. Gosh, what am I talking about?
Okay, so that's fine if he's getting his intercept marks still.
Yeah.
But I just don't. No.
And we've got him down at 54% game time, which is really interesting.
Yeah,
So,
it is interesting, but
I'm with you.
He's $570,000, and this talk of the forward line stuff is just really, really thrown me off. It's rattled me, especially with Scrimshaw sort of playing that sort of role as well, which I think they would give to, because I don't know about you, but they don't have a lot of potency forward.
No, they
Hawthorn,
don't.
because they were playing Burgoyne forward.
Yeah.
And so obviously Roughhead, and then you've got your Warple, Puopolo,
Gunston.
I forgot about Gunston, sorry, and Bruce. I know Bruce is there, but they just don't have the forward tall potency. I think is what I was trying to get at, the aerial potency and strength, which I think is the draw for Sicily to be up there. And Clarko's just like on his little clipboard, he's like putting the magnets around.
Yeah.
And I think they're covered down back. They're fine. They're good there. So I think he's going to be switching back and forward, and I just don't like that, and I don't think it's going to work well for SuperCoach. So
if you're handing over that amount of coin, and what you're getting back in return is, hey, you'll be good a fair bit of the time, but there's a good chance that whether it's a quarter, whether it's a half, whether it's a game, he'll see time in attack.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, he'll just kick goals. It doesn't often work like that.
Well, that's what I said last week. Remember I said, best case scenario, he kicks 2 goals on top of all of his work defence. But that was me reaching. And I don't want to I don't want to be convincing myself to put players in my team. And it just didn't feel right. Lockie Whitfield's come in as my D2. He's a wing midfielder. He's going to score points every game. He's 30k cheaper. Sorry, James. I love you. I hate you.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah.
Talk to me in
Thank you next.
Talk to me at the buys. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a fair call, and I agree with him. And Whitfield, you know how highly I rate him. And
we have the same backline now, by the way.
I know.
By the way, let me just say.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought Sicily could possibly be removed.
Breaking news here, Daniel. Sorry, it's just popped up on my Facebook. News. Lockie Hunter has signed a 5-year deal at the Bulldogs, seeing him remain a dog until 2024.
Wow.
This is your Langers light bulb moment.
Oh, that's good, mate.
Anyway,
I like that. And, I mean, O'Meara showed that he'll be able to have an outstanding season. 35 touches, one-on-one SuperCoach, and he's going to obviously be the Hawks' number 1 man. Warple, 24 touches, 73. SuperCoach, 60% time on ground. What is he? 395. Mid-forward option, I believe. It's just a little pricey for me. I like his prospects. I think we'll see a really good season. But the bloke's played, 9 games? And I know we get excited about how tough he is and how many times he's just been a bull at a gate, and he's going to be good. There's no doubt about it. But game on game, he's still young. It's not cheap enough. If he's
want to see something from
280, 290, maybe if he's 310, you might twist my arm.
I still want to see something.
No, thank you.
He would have been a really good F4 if he was 250.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But Darcy Moore's there at that price too, so they'd be competing for space, and I think that's really.
And Cousins, as you suggested last, I was red hot on him. And like you smartly pointed out,
wisely.
Let's see. Yeah, that's why I bring you to the table.
Thanks, mate.
Great stuff there.
That's why you bring me to the bedroom. Which we're currently recording in, of course.
Yeah. No secrets here. We are in my bedroom. Jack, get your hand off my leg, mate. Christ. Obviously, we got a bit of an insight. I don't know if Shields played. Let me have a look. He did. So look at that. There you go. O'Meara, Shields back in. They win.
Chad comes back into the midfield.
And they win the best part of 60-something plus touches between them, and Cousins gets still a nice 21. And I still think he'd be a nice player, but, I think...
How much was he again?
I think 212-ish. It's just not...
You got Sam Walsh.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah, exactly right. And Scrimshaw maybe, I think, is he about 150 in the back line? Just seems solid, food for thought. Should get named, one would imagine. Yeah. I didn't think he was going to be. I thought he was a little bit off the pace, but
Scrimshaw.
He's looked good.
Yeah.
Just when he was initially drafted, there was talk that he's probably a guy we'll work on and But
I said last week
going
that
good.
I have no idea who he was, but it's
Yeah.
because he was drafted to Gold Coast and then he got traded to Hawthorn, and they got him to the club for nothing. And
he was
he's a pick 7.
Yeah.
So they're laughing. I initially did actually have him in my defence as well.
Yeah.
But I had to get Dersma in, which I'm fine with to free up money. I've got $4,000 left after getting Martin in for Nank. And
that's fair.
As we cross over to the Richmond scores,
well, yes,
like a little segue there.
Speaking of Martins, yep, and he's the only name I've got down.
Dusty,
just the fact that he was good again.
80,
nothing amazing in terms of SuperCoach scores, but just looking at him, I don't think he feels the need to tear a JLT game apart.
He's just getting the miles in his legs.
He's just looking fit as a fiddle. He's really keen. You could just get that sense that he and Cochin and Richmond as a club are really seething over last year, and there's just that little extra edge to them, I think. Last year when you're reigning premiers, it's a different mentality.
Point to prove.
Yeah, point to prove is exactly right. So I'm all about Dusty. Did you have anyone else?
Did you know Trent Cotchin was the best player in the history of the AFL, and he won them this game off his own boot, and he's a Brownlow medalist, and he was the best captain.
I think he's the most overrated player in the game.
Wow,
there you go.
Look, I wasn't going that far.
No, I know, but
I think Tom Boyd's got
something
to say.
The fact that he was put in the All-Australian squad last year was an out-and-out disgrace. Yes, he's got great leadership in that, but some of the guys that he denied, it was an outrage. He's an outstanding player, don't get me wrong.
Great captain.
Inspirational leader, and he showed it on the weekend, but Jesus Christ, it annoys me how people just... Yeah, I'm not.
There's too many Richmond fans. That's why.
Yeah.
Great. Don't get us wrong. He's a great player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just everyone calm down.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'll just lie down for a minute.
Yeah. So Nank scored 80, and I feel like the 2 years that I've had him in my team, last year and the first year was at Richmond, that's like all he was sort of scoring. He'd have like a 133, or he'd have like a 79, and it was like, ooh, Nank, could you just shorten that gap, please?
Yeah.
So just going back to him, I don't rate him anymore.
This is brutal.
I think his average is still going to go up, like I said, but I just...
And Nank's like text you like, so we on for coffee this Friday? You're like, oh yeah, no, that'd be great.
Sick that day.
And like next day it's like, nah, I've got plans.
Yeah.
Toby's like, oh.
We were getting married last week. And
You're on one knee now.
I'm not picking Noah Bolter because... Thingo, what's his face? He's coming back into the team. Lynch. Jack Ross, don't know who that is, so he's going to come out for Lynch. In the forward line. Jack Higgins next year for Supercoach in the forward line. That's pretty much it for Richmond.
Yeah,
Kane Lambert, I hate you after last year.
Absolutely burnt you to a crisp. Well, no, good stuff. And I feel like this next game too
it's had some relevance.
A little bit.
Okay.
Just
be quiet.
I thought Sydney showed a couple of draft options which I quite enjoy, but in terms
you're
of
quiet about.
Yeah, we got our draft night.
It's Ryan
Sunday.
Clark.
Yes, and there's another little juicy bastard in there too, but
Mills.
Nah, not him.
Thurlow.
I'm not going to talk anymore.
Colin
Mills was good again.
Harry Cunningham.
And Heaney, albeit a scare, which
Josh P. Kennedy
sent shivers.
Yeah, no, Heaney did it. Heaney did his ankle and still scored 70.
Yeah.
And then he was taken out of the game.
I was just sucking on a Jim Beam, and all of a sudden, Langers hits me with Heaney ankle, and I'm like, ah!
No, he's fine. There was an article just before about him being fine. Good. Luke Parker, 128. Put him in your midfield. He's not going to disappoint. What else? Jackson Thurlow, good on you. Really wish he didn't get traded away from Geelong, but good on him. Haven't seen or heard from Menzel lately.
No,
or Buddy, actually. We haven't heard much from
I think
Buddy.
they're both just
I wouldn't be touching Buddy in the forward line.
No, not with a...
No way.
Not with a 10-inch pole, or whatever the bloody saying is.
There's a guy whose name is James Rowbottom, so that's funny.
That's great.
Yeah, BT's going to block that one. Rowbottom from 50! Oh, God, sorry, there's commentary coming out of anyway.
It's like I'm with Tiz.
Yeah. That's it really for Sydney. There wasn't really a
And
lot.
I didn't see stacks for Gold Coast, to be honest. Like, just there were people
Did they play?
around where you were just like, well, maybe, and then it's like, nah.
So there's two facts that come out of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't pick Anthony Miles.
Yeah.
Don't pick Isaac Rankin.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jared
No,
Witts,
fair.
he's alright. He scored 86. He wouldn't be the worst ruck 2 option, as I said last week and the week before. If you need the money elsewhere, put him in at R2. There's nothing really saucy about Gold Coast that I'm seeing. Chris Burgess scored 15. He's currently in my forward line because he scored reasonably the week before, and I think he'll play as a mature age player and do well for them. But I probably might be rotating him off the bench because if he's scoring 15s, I think he only played a half, but still not good signs otherwise. And who else is the rookie in that team?
I wonder where Miles did go in terms of ownership, because people were red hot on him, and he's still in 12% of sides. I'm not sure if there's a
glitch
of a
in
lag.
the matrix.
Is there a lag period with those updates? I don't think so, but
Anthony Miles more like Anthony Centimeters.
Well, exactly. It's just like it just was not what we wanted at all.
No.
And
if he came out and scored 280s, then we'd talk. But Libert, Brad Crouch, and Rockcliffe are there, so see ya.
Yeah, well, I think that's all we really need to talk about. You know, Collins should be right.
That was the other one. Collins had from all reports, a terrible game, and still scored 52.
Yeah.
So I think he's not going to score that very often. Scored 93 in the first week.
Yeah. I think it'll be your solid averaging guy who just plays most weeks.
With the news of Rory Thompson doing his ACL as well, that pretty much confirms him into the main fullback position of Gold Coast, and at his price of 188, that's perfect sort of price to scoring ratio. Yeah, that's it.
Well, you mentioned Libber, and I think we should address him.
Sure.
21 touches, 87 SuperCoach. Many talking about him as possibly the best mid-price option going around. Obviously, we've seen some really good... Yeah, Tommy Boy a couple of times. But we've seen big averages in the past. And I think we know that when he does play midfield, like Rockcliffe, he scores.
Big time.
There still seems to be a little bit of debate. I just don't have faith in Beveridge consistently having his players in the one damn spot, but surely...
They have too many mid-forwards, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They've got Dunkley, they've got Wallace, Liberatore, Hunter, McLean, Caleb Daniel.
Yeah. There's a lot.
What the hell? And Dalhouse was there last year. What's going on?
They've got a lot of guys that can play that style of role, but...
I think the coach, what's his name? Beveridge is picking his actual team like a SuperCoach team and just stacking it full of midfielders.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Josh Dunkley scored 107 and just gave me something to think about there. I don't know if it's going to be like every second week, like one of them's going to be scoring, as in one of Dunkley or McLean or Libber will be scoring the 100 and the other person will be scoring like the 70. So that's, but I don't know. I'm going to be backing Libber as the more experienced. He's sort of, I think he's part of the leadership group.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know. That would probably be the worst decision for a player
Certainly
in the leadership
part of
group.
The party group. You know,
he's
organising
he's captain, coach, and vice captain of the party group.
The footy trip. He is the man. Boys, just come around to mine. I've got a great gutter. Fantastic gutter.
Next day, everyone wakes up in Vietnam with their head shaved. And Mitch Wallace I said it last week, he'd be a great little pick for the forward line, just as a little pod daddy.
A little cheeky one.
A little bit more mature as well. He's gonna stay in that forward. Oh, sorry, am I boring you?
Look, it's late, mate.
Yeah, it is late. You've got to get on the postie bike tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to be up bright and early. Can I just revisit a couple of things?
Yeah.
Just firstly, I always find it interesting how Dunkley doesn't go as well week one. We seem to put a line through him. Where if he did this score in week one, all of a sudden we're thinking about it a bit more. I think he should still be considered. I'm not going to go with him just because, as you outlined, there are a lot of guys that can go through there depending on form. Not even his own form, maybe team form. They want to try something. There's danger there. And Libber, I mean, he's a lock, is he not? I mean, I think...
I would say so at that price,
I mean, 8 and 7 clearances across the 2 games, I believe. I just think he's too good of a footballer inside. And even last time when he returned from the knee, what did he average? Like 90.2? Obviously last year...
It's not bad. Yeah, not so bad.
Not bad. Positionally, last year was what destroyed Liberatore.
I think he was cooked last year.
And who knows where his head was at.
No, he looks back. Like, if he's playing JLT, he looks like properly focused. I think he might, like, because it was a bit of like infighting last year, like the Dalhouse motivated sort of thing that came out, and
there was a lot of funny.
Yeah, there was just lots of weird stuff going on at the Dogs. Oh my god. So I think he's back, and I think he's a lock at this stage. Yeah, based on the price and based on the scores he's given us and the expectation.
Yeah, I think so. Timmy English, pencil that boy down for.
Looks good. He played well.
Yeah, he was taking back. Player.
He was going back and taking marks in defence.
Played less than half the game and scored the 85. And I think you can't go with him because it's potentially crazy.
It is,
but I wouldn't be surprised if you could drop your pen just one more time. That'd be great.
That's the fourth time I've dropped my pen.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of these guys that we go, look, that doesn't shock me that he's averaging well, but it's too risky to start.
If you have Toby Nankervis and he's playing terribly, trade him out for Tim English because they'll be scoring the exact same and you get 200k in the bank.
Yeah.
Maybe I should put Nank back in. Go. No.
All of a sudden, Lang's going English out of nowhere.
Hi, Toby. I'm sorry.
Take me back.
Baby, come back.
St Kilda. Like I said last week, Steele does what he does. Another ton in...
Still don't know who he is or what he looks like. But...
Billings, 25 touches, which didn't actually equate to a ton.
80.
Just the 80, but...
promising signs, though.
He'll be getting some people thinking, and I'm envisioning an average in the early 90s, maybe mid. Is that enough for you? Probably not. If St Kilda were a team contesting for a top 8 position, maybe. But the fact that they're going to be a poor team and they could have a real tough year,
Yeah.
And also when Stephen comes back, that could affect him as
Stephen
well.
If Stephen comes back.
Well, that's a good point too. But again, a bit like we've said about a few guys, you'd have to have some guts to go with them. Hind, I'm not sure. That seems to have cooled on him. I think he only played about half a game. Didn't score amazingly well, but I guess maybe if he played a full game, it might have been a 50 or a 60. But
Parker looked the goods.
He
looks like someone like they'd be putting in just for that mature experience, and just like he looks like a sort of Tim Kelly, like freakish, sort of skillful, and took a great mark and kicked a goal, and
he's got some weapons, and Robertson, is disappointing. I mean,
come on, Dylan.
It's tough footy story, isn't it? Like, I mean, I was looking at the match report, and without having seen the further news about his heart and things like that, I just saw that he had another 26 odd touches and was named St Kilda's best player, and I was like, gee, maybe I need to fit him in. And then word came through that he's in hospital and that, and obviously we hope that he's doing well, but I mean it's concerning clearly for his own health, which in turn provides a hell of a lot of risk. Obviously SuperCoach is nothing to compare to that sort of stuff, but that's what we're talking about. So clearly it's got to be a line through him, one would think.
Best wishes to Patrick McCartan as well, who got another head knock and is suddenly the talk of the town, whether she should be continuing playing.
Be very
some
sad.
Harsh commentary about his resilience when it's not his fault.
I thought that was rough from Brownie. But...
Oh, we're naming names. Shorty versus Brownie. I would like to see.
Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Best wishes to both of them. I think that was it, really. Shane Savage scored 102. Just like I said last week, like he just scores 93 or 102. That's
he does,
his score.
He? Yeah, he tends
Put him in the back line. I know there's heaps of really good backline options this year, and I'll try and pick him in draft. But
God, a little draft bomb dropped.
Now Next game?
Yeah, Freo and West Coast.
Oh.
West Coast got the job done pretty comfortably. I tell you what, Dom Sheed is putting a real
Had
case
79 disposals in 2 games.
There will be people that go with him, and I tell
might-
you what, it could be a really good selection. I mean,
might be a case of West blindness, but I haven't really looked at him.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't seen him as much either, and I touched on, I think it was 3 tons through the finals series last year. It wasn't just that one kick that everyone talks about. He was
he kicked
bloody
a goal
good.
in the grand final and won the grand final?
I have heard that. But look, he was huge. 134 SuperCoach from the 40 touches. One to consider. I'm not going to strongly endorse him because we've been talking about these mid-price options through the midfield for a reasonable portion of the show.
Well, he has
he
has no backing.
394k.
Yeah, I know. Well, he put him in the same bracket as Libba, Rockcliffe, Crouch.
All of us, for some reason I had in my head that I thought he was around 430 to 450.
It's just going to get Cripps out for Dom Sheed.
I know it's like I'm not going to go with him.
Yeah. But if he wouldn't be the worst M5, M6 spot if you're going deep in the midfield.
There's something that soothes us about scoring history, and the fact that Libba's got it, Rockcliffe's got it, and I think we almost give Crouch the tick because, I mean, we've seen it to an extent.
We saw his averages last week.
Yeah.
It was like, good.
There's maybe, I mean, he's in 10% of sides, Dom Sheed, so bloody look out. Maybe he's
one to watch. Just watch him in the first couple of weeks, and if you've got a premium midfielder who isn't playing well, maybe downgrade to Sheed.
Yeah. And Petrocelli looks as if he is...
It's me, Petrocelli!
That was good.
Thanks. You don't need the soundboard when you've got me.
Yeah. In what is slim pickings in terms of at least what we are anticipating in forward line rookies, which we'll talk about a little bit more, he is a man who is putting his hand up. I didn't have anyone else really banging the door down for West Coast.
Andrew Gaff was banging the door down on Andrew Brayshaw's face.
Oh, God. Oh, God. At least they shook hands.
Yeah, it was so forced, though.
Yeah, I mean,
they just want to play, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, they're going to shake hands.
Yeah.
Brayshaw's just like, all right, mate, calm down.
Yeah.
Brett Bewley scored 16 from, I think, half a game for Fremantle. A lot of people picking him in their bench spot, but I think there's better rookie options.
I agree.
Scott Jones, don't know who that is. Nothing really to look at from Fremantle perspective because Fife's not playing.
You mentioned Brayshaw. Oh, shit. You said Conquerors. Wow. Nice. I had him down.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say you mentioned Brayshaw and he was actually pretty impressive himself. You're not going to pick him, but was good. And then I was going to just flow in a bit of Reece Conquer talk.
I cut your segue off, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Go for it, mate. I mean...
How much is Reece Conquer? Can you just...
Let's head over. I feel like he's around 300. I want to say 294.
Really awkward.
392. My bad.
No, thanks.
My bad. 100k off. You couldn't. But was good from limited game.
He was good. He had 18 disposals and was Fremantle's best player. They just have you look at that list and it's just like, where's the talent there?
Yeah.
When Fife's there, it changes it completely.
Yeah.
But when Reece conquers... Anyway, Michael Walters scored 92. Again, putting him in the midfield. I don't know what Freo's doing. David Mundy probably put in the F2, F3 spot a bit more confidently just because he's got that experience behind him. And I think he's still going to score well regardless of where he plays because he's one of their best players, their best 3 players. That's it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Mundy's very reliable, and there are going to be dockers that...
Oh, I forgot Travis Collier got traded to Freo.
Yeah, it's a random one, isn't it? But there are going to be guys that benefit from those opportunities through the midfield. Maybe we could stumble across a good one, but Mundy's probably leading the race. And then we'll finish with Collingwood and Carlton. So... It was a Pies by 4 points as I keep you awake.
Yeah, sorry, it's just...
And honestly, I didn't get much out of this game either. I watched it. Trelaw had 42, was great.
Bang.
Beams, I mentioned him the other week, hence I want to touch on him. I probably wouldn't go him. I don't know if his 110 days are still around. I think they'll be there. I think he'll be thereabouts, but I just feel... like perhaps I'm subscribing to that, there's Sidebottom, there's Trelaw.
There's a lot of midfielders there.
And Grundy wins his fair share.
Grundy!
Of clearance.
Is it Grundy?
He's
Sorry,
doubled
I've
up
done that twice.
He's doubled up on it.
Yeah.
And Darcy Moore.
Yeah. Watch and learn for watch and learn for
Do you want to finish this sentence?
I want to start. I don't even know what I'm saying. Keep an eye out for Dane Beams as a potential future upgrade target. Darcy Moore scored 97 and towed up Kerno, except for that one where he went to mark the ball and fell over, and Kerno kicked that goal.
Yeah, that was
funny.
But
yeah, he looked good at $230,000. I would not say no to putting him in your forward line, because he's just going to make you money if he's scoring 97s. Even if he's scoring 60s, he's going to make you money. Yeah, he's going to get up towards a $400,000 sort of price range, and that's when you try and get him up to like a Heaney or a Menegola or a player like that you missed out on when in your starting team. Nothing really else to look at. Grundy, scored 85. Lock him in as your first ruckman. Looked like he was going half pace and still had that midfield spurt where he collected and fended off a player and delivered onto Trelaw's chest.
Yeah, I think it
was delicious.
It was beautiful stuff.
Delicious. Tyler Brown came on and scored 28 points from 9% game time or something crazy. Yeah, scored something ridiculous. Yeah. So he might be a potential rookie downgrade. Yeah, in the
perhaps gets an opportunity at some point
in the defence. So maybe you downgrade one of your starting defenders to him.
Look, that'd be pretty bold, but I
just on the bench to make some money.
Oh, on the bench.
Not like Clark or Collins. Just like if you've got Marty Hoare on the bench and he's reached his tipping point. Trade him down to Tyler Brown if he plays.
I'm with you now.
Thank you.
But no, I think it's a realistic chance that Darcy Moore, who I brought to the table a few weeks ago.
You claiming him?
No. But I did do a little player profile on him.
You told me in December, Darcy Moore.
Yeah, and I think he's just going to find himself around that 70 to 85 mark. Now, that's a big range, but it does highlight that he could average around that. But equally, he could have quite a game, such as the nature of his role, but it's not too much of a price to fork out. Carlton, Cripps just looked unbelievable. I mean, talk about going half pace. I mean, he was just strolling around.
Is Cripps in your team currently?
Yes. My name's Yes.
He is.
Leave him in there.
He is.
Don't take him out again.
And Sam Walsh, we know, is good. I think Setterfield and Gibbons didn't enhance their chances or their prospects, but I feel as if they're going to get the opportunity anyway.
Yeah, Gibbons played shocking.
Yeah.
And he obviously needs goals to score his points. He still had a lot of pressure acts, which I like, because he was still trying, but the ball didn't really come down Carlton's end a lot until late. And then they were just kicking goals and had a really late comeback. And I think he was off at that stage even. But he shouldn't be scoring that low too often. You'd think he'd be getting at least 50s every game, because he'd be getting around the goals and the tackles.
And he's a natural footballer. I'm confident that we'll see some decent scores at times, because he just will find a way to the ball. And at 102k, I mean, at this stage,
on your bench,
if you can get an extra 15 or extra 21k, it can be very valuable.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, Carlton are going to offer some good things this year, I think, and they're probably the four names that lead the way, I believe.
Yeah. Cade Simpson scored 105, and a lot of people have him in their first two defensive spots.
He just keeps giving, doesn't he?
He's 34.
He looked great. He just reads the play so well. And does he age? He looks the same, and he looks lean.
Moustached owner, he's looking very good.
Yeah, he is.
I mean. Simpson's looking all right.
Oh, I never doubt that. Never doubt that.
Yeah. Insert photo of mustache.
that photo where we're at Lawn, the shirt boys one.
No, it's the worst photo of me. It's like my head's backwards. I'll give you a proper mustache photo than you want.
Last week you just sent across this model shot. You're just like...
You said, give me a photo so I can put you up in the pod. And all I had was my Instagram photos from my photography page at Jake Langenegger Photography.
Here we go. Nah, I like it. And that's a fairly good...
hour and 10 minutes.
Up
yeah, we're getting better.
Everything.
10 minutes quicker every time.
Yeah. I do want to talk about our teams. I know you've done a little bit of revealing throughout the pod. But
would you like me to do a play-by-play?
Yeah. Look, walk us through it. You've mentioned a few of the changes, but yeah, just smash through how that
I'll just
team
give
is
it
looking.
all to you.
Yeah, just smash it out.
Yeah, sure. Defence: Rory Laird, Lockie Whitfield, Alex Witherden, Zach Williams, Sam Collins, Jordan Clark. On the bench, Dersma and Marty Hoare. Midfield: Jackson McRae, Patrick Cripps, Clayton Oliver, Stephen Canelio, Tom Liberatore, Sam Walsh, Zach Butters, Charlie Constable. On the bench, Bailey Scott, Tom Atkins, Michael Gibbons. Rucks are Grundy, Martin, and my mate Blake Schlensog, just as my captain's loophole sort of player.
Yeah.
He'll probably get games though. Forward, Patrick Dangerfield, Sam Menegola, Isaac Heaney, Will Setterfield, Christopher Burgess, Willem Drew, and on the bench, Petruccelli and Matthew Parker. So I'm actually pretty happy with my team. There's no real question marks now.
Yeah.
Last week there was a couple of question marks. All my rookies are set. And I look over it and there's no players that I'm really having any concerns with, to be honest with you. Yeah, to be honest with you, there's not. Like Menegola, whatever's going on with him, that's probably the riskiest just because of his price, and might be better F2 options, but I'm backing him in.
Daniel,
my man.
It's hard to argue, as I said, over Messenger, mate. That looks like a pretty solid team, and
thanks.
You would imagine there wouldn't be too much change now that we've seen all the games.
I'm only changing for injury right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
cut my thumbs off so I don't change my team, because yesterday I spent an hour just going, oh my god,
yeah,
and magnets were flying everywhere.
It gets to you.
Yeah.
Well, look, I've kept it fairly hush in terms of how my team is looking, but I will talk you through a few things. Now, the back line hasn't changed. We're still Laird, Whitfield, Witherden, Williams, Collins, Clark, as you just said. And we've got Hoare on the bench and McLennan, but I would like to get Dersma in as well. Hopefully I can free up a little bit of coin.
Oh, you've got $2,000
I've got
left,
just a couple of grand in the bank. Obviously I need to free up another 10 or so. Forward line hasn't seen much change either. Dangerfield, Heaney, Kelly, Setterfield, Drew, Parker, Petruccelli, Braden Ham's just sitting there, but he impressed me against Geelong. I thought he showed some good signs.
Played like 10 minutes, but...
Yeah, I know, but for what he did, I thought he was okay.
Couple of good tackle efforts.
I mean, I don't expect him to play. That's just one of those ones where he's sitting there. Let's see what happens with the round one teams.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Grundy and Goldstein are still my ruckman with some spud loophole bloke.
Grundy! Is it Grundy?
Oh my God. Not again. And here's where things get interesting. So,
I like how you can't look at your team and do the soundboard at the same time.
Yeah, I know, it's so disappointing. I think last time we spoke, my team, the first 5 went a little like this. Oliver, Fife, Kelly, Martin, Crouch. Fife and Kelly, which we both said
we've both got rid of them.
And as we said earlier, we need to have seen something. When you're paying that amount of coin, we don't want any sort of lingering issues, potential flare-ups, not full fitness, not hitting the ground running from the start. So then I started to tinker, and that led me to Brad Crouch, as he impressed me a hell of a lot.
Yes.
He came in for, I think it was 5. Whatever it was, Cripps made his way into the side as well. Let's just say for Callie, doesn't really matter which of the two you pick, but Cripps, as we said, he's just looking too damn good. And then I was left with about 170, 180k, something like that. And I thought, where am I going to use this? And at the time, I wanted to see some developments in terms of Robertson, Liberatore, because I didn't have another mid-pricer. So, and was I like, look, do I bugger off Brad Crouch and go Lockie Neal or someone like that? But I was just short, do I go Cornelio, and as Libba played another very good game and looks as if he's just too hard to refuse, I thought, gee whiz, he needs to come in. So that's where that money was spent. But the bombshell, which has been revealed through the podcast already, but in tinkering about with rookies and trying to spare up that 10 to 20k, which can be helpful at times, I have put Tom Rockcliffe into my side. So
He's there, I can see him.
that midfield reads Cripps, Oliver, Martin, Matt Crouch, Tom Rockcliffe, Liberatore, Walsh, Atkins, and Constable, Scott, and Gibbons on the bench. And look,
I'd be loud if it said Brad Crouch, Rockcliffe, Libber. Just go
Yeah.
to 3 mid
Yeah.
passes, which a lot of people are doing.
yeah,
Have been
yeah.
doing.
I mean, let's throw Dom Sheed in there just for fun, you know. But like, I enjoy that my back line bats to 6. My midfield, I should say, bats to 6. I'm losing the plot here. It's been a big week.
It's late. He's got
It's been a big week.
Be up in 6 hours.
Yeah, savage. But so that's my team, and obviously we'll put both of our sides up, and it's been a pretty comprehensive wrap, mate.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, mate. I enjoy these. That is a awfully firm handshake.
Yeah. White t-shirt again.
Yeah, the white t-shirt
Just call me Vin Diesel.
is a regular, but I'm not sure how much of my team will change. I feel yours probably more settled than
Yeah,
mine.
I'm pretty happy with
There's
mine.
perhaps some moving parts, particularly with some rookies and who gets named, and the Rockcliffe one will no doubt keep me up at certain stages, and I'll watch that match. and
Round
I'll-
1, when he scores 121,
Mm,
mark the time and date, because his first game was at the G as well. Don't forget.
you're backing him in to go big.
Don't
and
know
then
what
just,
that has to do with him playing at the G, but yeah, when he scores 121,
Yeah.
you'll just release a vid just saying hello.
Yeah.
Hello world.
You stuck it right up him.
Yeah, and when he
That's
scores
what you did.
55, I'll say
Yeah.
hello darkness, my old friend. To you, Daniel.
Yeah, it could be sad, but thanks again, mate. We will be back in some way, shape, or form, perhaps
Maybe
with
after
a
round
little.
1, maybe before.
Yeah, and look, maybe with a little skit in between or two as we build up to round 1. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, I think we can get that done in 2 weeks,
Yes.
10 days, I think, maybe.
Yeah,
Pushing it, but
we'll see how we go.
might be after
see how
round
we go.
1, little daddy. But
And
thanks for having me again on the pod, guys, and yeah, I'm sure Shorty will leave all my stuff down in the comments again.
Absolutely.
At Jake Langenegger Photography, and leave a comment in the comments for me as well as Daniel, because I've been getting around a couple of the comments. And
Yeah.
if you have anything to say about my side, or if you just want to make fun of me for getting players' names wrong or whatever, yeah, just let me know, because it's great.
Beautiful. Good stuff, mate.
Thanks,
we'll
Daniel.
See you soon. Cheers.